Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore in a brand new Netflix movie. This could either be great or pathetic. And thankfully, since it's in the hands of Todd Haynes, who's a very much notoriously great director, we get a pretty damn great movie here. Now, what I will say is I think if you are a general going audience and you just heard me say that statement, you've probably already about to click off this video, about to comment down below saying how much you hated this movie. Because I think this is a very movie that's within the first 10 minutes, like, there's a part where, like, Julianne Moore is, like, opening the fridge and the camera pans in and this dramatic score piece of music plays and she says a line. And right then and there, you're either in or out of this film, and instantly right there, I was in and I had to see where this film was going to go, because consistently May December is a very unique movie. It's in a sense a satire, melodramatic film that touches on tabloid stories, docu-series, crime documentaries, and of course even method acting. And for me, this is very much a fascinating film that I think Todd Haynes did an incredible job directing. But I think it's the performances and what he's actually going for inside the story. But we have a lot to talk about today, guys. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, leave your thoughts down below. And if you don't know what May December is about, well, it takes place 20 years after a notorious tabloid romance between an older person and a 7th grader gripped the nation, and a married couple buckles under pressure when an actress arrives to do research for an indie film about their past. Now, again, Natalie Portman is playing that actress coming into town. Julianne Moore is playing the older woman who, of course, is now married to someone who is way, way younger than her, and that guy is Charles Melton. And flat out off the bat, I think the one thing I want to talk about is the performances. The performances, no matter if you hated this movie, loved this movie, we're all going to talk about how impeccable Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman are. And every single one of the main 3 characters in here have some of the trickiest aspects because, like I mentioned, this is a melodrama. It's one that, again, is going to work for some, won't work for others. It has this campy feeling to it. But every actor, in a way, has a different genre that they are having to portray for this film. And I don't know how it works, how Todd Haynes was able to create that. But between, like, Natalie Portman, for me, is the whole study of method acting and how method actors work. And it's a great character study for people who have never really been inside the industry to kind of get a glimpse into, say, actors like Joaquin Phoenix and what they may do to get into a role like this. If you've done research on that, it is very fascinating. It's a great character study to see how far in lengths an actor will go to get into the role, even if it does feel quite silly into what they are doing. And every method actor is completely different, but her specifically. And what I really love about her character in particular is what Todd Haynes does as a director, laying out certain scenes where, like, one sequence of her just talking to a class full of drama students and how her answers to those questions pertain all the way to the ending and what that ending means, and alongside certain conversations that she has with characters throughout the film. It's a brilliant performance, and it's one that's brilliantly written, but Natalie Portman is able to develop it and act it to that next level. And, you know, she, in a way, has to become a younger Julianne Moore, who, at the same light, you completely forget is Julianne Moore. I actually had to question myself at one point in time that she's playing this character Gracie, and I was like, have to question myself and be like, is that actually Julianne Moore? Am I just getting her mixed up? I went into this movie knowing she's in this, but she camouflages into this role of Gracie. And again, Gracie is a very melodramatic and at times overly dramatic character that, again, feels real. It feels like someone you would watch on TV that had this drama happen to them. And Natalie Portman, in a way, plays an overextended version of herself, I would assume. But she ends up becoming this character of Gracie. Getting the mannerisms down, getting the voice down, getting small little nuances. And it's actually really unbelievable to see how she's able to grow and become this. Which all leads to, like, certain nuances and smaller little thematics that I think film nerds like myself will love to study. Like, and I'm thinking about it right now, there's this whole discussion on, like, caterpillars and them turning into butterflies and all this stuff. And in a way, this is kind of that same thing. So very interesting tidbits in there, and again, laying out that groundwork that makes this film feel a lot smarter than you would anticipate. And then alongside that, while both of them are impeccable, I think Charles Melton is the best aspect of this film. And honestly has probably the trickiest performance in all of this, mostly because he has to be the dramatic avenue for both of them and for overall the entire story, because he is the one that, in a way, when you look at everything, is the one most affected by what happened with this in this relationship. And while, yes, their children that they have in this film will be heavily, again, touched on, it's him and how much his life has changed because of the results of this event. And, you know, the film never really dives into, like, well, that's a terrible thing. We as an audience just know that. But it also doesn't try to sympathize you with the characters whatsoever, with what Julianne Moore's character did. And what it does a great job on, though, is showcasing Charles Melton's character that could come off as a little immature, but you can kind of see that he never really had time to grow up because of these events and because of certain other things that happened in his life. He had to grow up a lot faster. So he is a little bit childish at times, and at times he seems like a teenager still, even at the age of like 32, 36 in this film. But I thought Charles Melton gave the hands-down best performance in this entire movie. I think he is absolutely phenomenal in this film. I think absolutely he is the dramatic anchor for this movie. Again, I mentioned how each and every one of them are playing a different genre in this film, but somehow they all work and click, and him, for me, has just one sequence where he just breaks down, and I really felt what he was going for on that. And I think a lot of that, again, now I must overextend myself to Todd Haynes, who I think does an incredible job also directing this movie. I think there's something to his directing style that, again, plays to the campy, melodramatic feel, and whether it's just the way that he had a lot of the shots pertainingly honestly shot creatively. I mean, there's certain things of just two actors looking into a mirror doing their makeup, and the way that it kind of shows this parallel, or one of the characters is watching someone try on a dress, and the way that they, again, shoot that shot. It's these parallels in the way that he always has these different avenues that make me feel just giddy as a film nerd. I say giddy as a film nerd is because you get to watch something like this and just be like, this is very creative. This isn't something that you would see on a daily basis in filmmaking, and I feel very happy that I got to see this one in theaters. And I know many people will probably discover this on Netflix itself, but again, it goes down to those unique avenues, and I think as a director, he nails it. Alongside, I thought the score was fantastic. I think the composing for this just really hit every moment. And again, it plays into that melodramatic, campy shot. The whole film, in a sense, sometimes feels like you are watching a docu-series, but you're not. It's two actors actually playing, and it's really mind-boggling how much they actually make you feel like you are there. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys may have sat down before to watch one of those docu-series, and for me, I don't watch a ton of them, but my fiance watches them all the time. And while half the time I have no idea what is going on in them, I'll come into the room, she's watching in the living room, say, and I'm coming in to eat lunch. And I find myself sitting there for like 30, 45 minutes watching this thing that I have no idea where it started, where it had ended. But it was all in the middle of certain aspects. And that's kind of one of the things in here, is that it kind of just throws you into the story. It doesn't really tell you what's going on. You just start to discover certain things, and then you leave. And that's it. For me, it doesn't dive any deeper into the story. There's no mystery to it all. It's just a very unique film that I really honestly think a lot of people won't like in terms of the general going audience. But I think this is a movie that more people will talk about from years to come. And film nerds will talk about and be like, do you ever see this? You should see it. It's really easy to study movies on that. So I thought May December was honestly just fantastic. And the more I think about it, the more I liked it. When I walked out of the theater, I was more like, it was good. It was really good, but maybe I would have liked a couple more things. And then I just started thinking about it more in like the certain little avenues. And I got giddy coming home. I was like, it's late at night. It's almost 11 o'clock because I'm filming this. But I'm very excited to be talking about this movie. And that I don't always say that coming home from a screening. Sometimes I'm just like, I just want to eat dinner and go to bed. But I like to come home and at least review and vent these thoughts. Any issues on the movie? The only con I truly have with the film that maybe I would have changed up a bit is I think the film could have been a tad bit longer to focus a little bit more on Melton's character. I think there's a lot of interesting aspects to that character that maybe there could be an argument to be made that he should have been absolutely one of the bigger parts of the story to be told. But that's just my opinion. He was the most interesting character to me, and I just was very entertained by this movie, to say the least. With all that said, May December. It's a melodramatic, campy satire on tabloid stories, character studies, crime docs, and specifically method acting. Todd Haynes really delivers with something so unexpected. I went into this movie, I didn't know what I was expecting, but I got something completely different. And those first 10 minutes, I mean, when Julianne Moore made that line, I was like, okay, I'm into this. This is going to be different. Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore are just impeccable, but I think Charles Melton gives the sincere standout performance, and that is why I'm going to give May December an A-. Hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts, and of course, until next time, stay classy.